Woo! Markelle Fultz is back, and usually that would mean we would finally have the answers to all of our questions. And let's be honest, there have been a lot of questions, like how does someone talented enough, dedicated enough, competitive enough to become the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft, a combination of skill and work ethic that by definition is extremely rare, just suddenly stop being able to shoot a basketball? Was it an injury that was really to blame? Did an injury create a confidence issue, and then that was to blame? And what finally worked to fix it? Yeah, we still don't know any of that because Markelle Fultz didn't want to talk about it last night. And honestly, I don't really blame him. I mean, sure, I am still very curious, but everyone has already had months to pore over all that iPhone video of Fultz shooting in practice gyms across America. Instead, finally, last night, there was actual game footage to talk about. So let's talk about it because boy, was it fun. Right from the start, the standing ovation Fultz got when he checked into the game, it was just great. I mean, Philadelphia fans get a pretty bad rap, right? They have thrown batteries at their own football team, but the loyalty and patience Sixers fans have shown over the past 4 or 5 years has been pretty extraordinary. And they continued to cheer for Fultz even after he turned the ball over on his first touch. They went absolutely crazy when he drove to the basket for his first points in 154 days. And hey, did you see the little nifty behind the back pass to Joel Embiid? Not bad for a guy who hasn't had time to build chemistry with his teammates. Now, there were certainly issues too. Fultz's first jumper was an air ball. And even though he'd hit a few later in the game, he was never tested at the free throw line or behind the arc. He also made some rookie mistakes in judgment that were exactly what you'd expect from a rookie. But it's important to note that even after those plays, he remained aggressive. If indeed there was a mental aspect to this long hiatus that he's been on, he seems to have addressed it. And that is frankly all anyone can ask for. It's very good news for Sixers fans who have stopped just dreaming of making the playoffs, but now of making a real run through the Eastern Conference bracket that could be setting up for them. Philadelphia is just a game behind Cleveland for this 3 spot. And take a look at this. The Sixers have the easiest schedule in the league going forward, compared to the Cavs, who still have 5 games left against winning teams. So what if Philadelphia gets the 3 seed? And chalk holds enough for them to have a second-round date with an injury-depleted Celtics team. Are the Sixers suddenly in the conference finals? It's a long way from here to there, but it's a fun question for fans to get to even ask. And considering all the other questions he's had to work through, it's much-deserved fun for Markelle Fultz, most of all. So, Tracy, what grade do you give Fultz in his return to action last night?
I give him a B, considering what he's been through his first year. And I'm sure at some point in time he started to lose his confidence. The game last night with 10 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. When the anticipation builds up like that, it's either going to go really bad or you're going to have a decent game like this. And, I think the adrenaline was there. He was really looking forward to this. I'm curious to see, because it's going to wear off at some point and then, reality is going to set in. I'm curious to see how he's going to play when all this adrenaline is gone and no more of the hype is there. The anticipation is gone and it's just, game after game. How are you going to approach that? How are you going to play? But considering that it was a playoff team that he did this against, because Denver is fighting for a playoff seed, and it was his first NBA game, I thought he did well.
I know that it came out of the blue that they decided to play him.
He did have those 4 games. It was the beginning of the season. How many did he have?
Yeah,
but doesn't feel like it counted at all.
I thought this was actually kind of brilliant to bring him back in this game. First off, yes, the Nuggets are a playoff-style team, but they are one of the worst defensive teams in the league, so you're not going to exactly face them the toughest defense. Secondly, I feel like after they made the playoffs, they qualified for the playoffs the day before. I feel like it was sort of a stress-free game. Obviously, they're still competing for seeding, as you mentioned, Rach, but I felt like they could all really concentrate on taking care of it, and they did. One of the things that this game taught me, not only you talked about his confidence, going to the basket, it showed me how much his teammates care about him, because they really wanted to make sure he was taken care of in the game. And Tracy, you are right. And the next time they play, the Knicks tomorrow night, the Knicks are going to back off of him. He's going to be in the scouting report. The Nuggets didn't have a scouting report for him. Eventually, the 2 guys that they drafted #1 overall, it's going to have to be addressed, and neither one of them can shoot from the outside, Ben Simmons and Fultz. So we still got a lot of things to do, but for last night, I was pretty impressed, and I found myself smiling watching this game because